Hello and welcome to the 14th Global Immigration Investment Summit 2024. So in the year 2022, the US issued a total of 10,885 EB-5 visas, and Indians were the second largest applicants after China. Now the highly popular EB-5 visas is back in the new avatar with more benefits for its investors. But are they going to go for it? And especially after the slowdown in 2021 and 2022, there's been a sharp increase seen in 2023. So why is this increase? Will this continue in 2024 and beyond? To answer all these questions, we have experts sitting with us. Just to set the context, can you tell us what the EB-5 visa is? And we see this trend. Do you think it's going to pick up? Tell us a little bit about that to begin with before we start the conversation.
All right. So basically, EB-5 visa, as we know, is a very popular investment-based immigration program for the US. And all you need to do is invest money and, of course, with some other conditions, and you get a green card for the entire family. The program has been around for quite some time. It's not a new program. It has been around since 1990, and thousands of investors, including many hundreds and thousands from India, have migrated to US under this program. Now, the program underwent a sea change in 2022. We had the new EB-5 RIA, popularly known as Reforms and Integrity Act, come into play in 2022. And we had seen that during 2020 and 21, there was slight slowdown in the program, but after the new act has come into play, the program has really bounced back. This is because there were a lot of new benefits, features added to the program, which were favoring the investors. Chief among them was, first, we had the concurrent filing of adjustment of status. It means that earlier under the old EB-5 program, after you have filed the EB-5 application, you have to wait for 2 years, 3 years, or even more to adjust your status from non-immigrant to immigrant and start enjoying the benefits. Under the new program, after you have filed your EB-5 visa application, and if you're already in the US, on an F1 visa, student's visa, work visa, or any other temporary visa, you can immediately file for change of status. You get your work permit, you get your travel payroll, and you can start enjoying the benefits of green card almost instantly. And this has been one of the most important driving factors.
Thanks, Paresh, for explaining that really well. I think setting the context, for explaining what the EB-5, and we know that it's increasing, the numbers are increasing, the applicants are increasing. Akshit, tell us, do you see this trend when it comes to investors? And who are these investors? And is concurrent filing something which could be a key reason for this?
So as Paresh rightly said, since the introduction of the EB-5 Reform and Integrity Act, we've seen a tremendous demand, so to say, amongst investors to pursue EB-5. Just for the interest of the audience, let's try and make it a little simple for you, right? So EB-5 essentially is a visa program that offers you a pathway of permanent residency to the US. And in simple words, it gives you the flexibility and the freedom to be able to work, to be able to run your business, to do your own consultancy, to be able to stay unrestricted, in an unrestricted fashion in the US. So that's something that stands out. And the concurrent adjustment of status, as we've all discussed, which is the I-485 application, has certainly been the standouts, in my opinion, the star of the new act. We've seen a huge demand from H-1B visa holders as well, who are in the US. Obviously, as Paresh rightly said, a majority of applications come from China and followed by India, but we're seeing that the rest of the world is also picking up, and I would say it's certainly a very bright future for the EB-5 industry. And if this is what you're looking out for, then certainly a good time to give it a shot.
Okay, and since we are talking about concurrent filing, Asif, I would like to come to you here. Can you elaborate a little bit more on it? What are its benefits? And most importantly, I think what our audience, what our viewers would like to know is about the timelines.
H-1B guys and student visa, these are the most benefited categories where they are already on US soil, and that allows, along with the filing I-526 petition, you will be able to file your adjustment of status along with work authorization and the traveling document. And majority of the H-1B guys have got the restrictions to change the job. That EAD will give them that liberty to work without any particular restriction. And F1, that is a work restriction for the F1 student as well. So that will also give them a kind of a liberty to extend that stay, and they don't have to come back to their native country, and they can continue the journey while they are in the US.
Abhishek, talking about the priority processing for certain categories of projects, can you tell us about that? Are clients actually getting approvals when it comes to priority?
So I'm working in this industry since a decade now. And if you'll ask about processing timelines, it was tremendous. Since one year, the kind of processing timelines that I have seen, it's unheard of. I will specifically talk about priority processing. Now, priority processing comes with if your project qualifies for a rural TA. If you invest in a project which qualifies for a rural TA, then you are subjected to something called priority processing. If you would have asked me this question a year back, it would have been very difficult for me to give an answer, a concrete answer. But now, with full confidence, I can tell you that it can be as fast as 22 days, as fast as 29 days. On an average, if you invest in a project, which is an I-956F approved project, another technical word.
Yes.
But if it's an approved project and it qualifies for rural TA, then there's a high possibility that you can get your I-526E approved within like 6 to 8 months. Once your I-526E is approved, that triggers your I-485 if you are living inside the US, or triggers your consular processing if you are living outside the US. And that gets you your conditional green card. The only and the first green card, which is there in the new laws, is also through a rural project. So it becomes really, really important to understand that, yeah, priority processing is really working, and this is a good thing for the industry.
So Rupi, coming to you, we do know that there are changes in the EB5 program. Can you tell us what those changes are, especially when it comes to the interest of the investors?
Sure. So I would say that there are a couple of big benefits for investors in the new legislation. Obviously, the one being priority processing. If you invest in a rural project, you get a priority processing, right now estimated to be under a year. And I would say the other big benefit that I see is the clarification that the investors only have to stay invested for at least 2 years. So basically, they are entitled to get their money back after 2 years. So that's one of the biggest benefits. And the other, I would say, is there are a lot of protections now put in place. The regional centers are being given a lot more responsibility. In the past program, regional centers could be more passive about the projects that they sponsor, but now they are basically tasked with being the gatekeeper, meaning that any project that you sponsor, you better make sure that the sponsor is following all securities laws, right? And that there are no bad actors involved in this deal, meaning bad actors, meaning if they ever had a violation in the past from securities, SEC violations, or any other criminal issues. So the regional center is subject to very steep penalties and basically they could be canceled by USCIS if they're not being the gatekeepers of the projects that they're sponsoring.
Carl, I would like to ask you any other ways of expediting the process?
Yeah, I agree with what Abhishek was saying and Rupi, that priority processing is shown to be now a very fast process in terms of the first investors that have been approved under the rural projects. And so I would add that there's, the way I look at it, there's sort of three types of processing sort of timelines, I would say. Standard processing, which historically has been a very lengthy process. Fortunately, under the RIA, it seems to be a lot quicker. But priority processing is for rural investors, and that's looks like it's currently a sort of a 1-year timeline. There's also been something called expedited processing. If you invest in a project that's considered national interest, or there are a couple of other categories that would also qualify, urgent humanitarian needs, for example. And historically, that was the fastest process. Under the RIA, it's still a little early to exactly determine what expedited processing is going to look like, but I think it's going to be very similar to priority processing, frankly. So it's going to be a very quick process as well.